Alhamdulillahnya kita dapat satu Proton Iris 1.6 Premium untuk hujung minggu, dan disebabkan Proton memang kereta yang dikenali sebagai kereta yang menyeronokkan pemandu, good ride and handling, kita pun bawa dia naik ke genting. Jadi dari sini kita akan cuba menilai sebaik mana kereta ini dari segi keseluruhan, keselesaan, ruang, reka bentuk, pemanduan, enjin, refinement atau kehalusan reka pembinaan, kehalusan pemanduan, kehalusan reka bentuk, semua kita akan tengok. Dan daripada impression pertama ataupun pertama, boleh kita katakan bahawa ianya satu kereta yang menjanjikan kelainan kepada pembeli segmen B, dan sekiranya anda mencari kereta segmen B hatchback, anda sepatutnya cuba untuk melawat bilik pameran Proton dan mencuba kereta ini berjalan. So today we are taking the Proton Iris 1.6 Premium for a drive. The route will consist of some city roads from city centre out to Selayang, and then we're going to proceed to some back roads through Batu Dam, Uluyam, and then up to Genting Highlands. So it's going to be a combination. The first part of the twisty road is actually quite fast, with some fast corners. We start with a bit of tight turns around the Batu Dam lake, then it opens up slightly, and then it gets really fast before tightening up again before we arrive at Uluyam, and going up Genting Highlands the same. It's quite fast at first and then it tightens up. So yeah, should be fun. We've heard a lot about the Iris, obviously, and we want to find out whether this really is the car that Proton says that it is, a game changer. Is the ride and handling any good? Is the performance impressive? What about the comfort, space, styling and everything? What strikes me the most about this car in terms of comfort is that it is the suspension setting is really good. It is supple enough to absorb most road imperfections. I say that this is the level of sophistication in terms of ride comfort that has been achieved by the Europeans. We are already there in terms of the ride comfort. Most of the small imperfections of the road just absorb and it just disappears in the suspension system. This is a really good chassis for comfort. So the Proton has not forgotten that they are known for good handling cars, good for giving smiles to drivers. More smile for your buck, I think, is what Proton is known for. So yeah, they've given this car a nimble chassis. It's fast acting, although it has EPS, electric power steering. The steering feel is still very natural. But of course, it is EPS, so you're not getting as much feedback as you would from a hydraulic system. But the steering is accurate enough and natural enough for you to be able to point the car to a particular spot in the corner, to a particular line, and it will follow that line very accurately. We have a 208 GTI at the back, and the steering feel from these two cars are not that much different in terms of feedback, so you see how impressive it is, the work that they've done in tuning the EPS to make it feel natural. In terms of cabin space, I think there should be no complaint for a B segment car. The Iris is spacious. The cabin is, I think, well thought out. It's quite simple. There's minimum number of buttons. In front of me, in the center console, I can see 3 large dials, 3 buttons, 1 start button for the radio head unit, because the head unit is touch screen, so there are no buttons on it at all. On the right side, there's only the start button. On the steering wheel, there's 6 buttons for radio control and telephone controls for the hands-free thing. So everything is clearly laid out, easy to understand, easy to use. In the Premium that we're driving today, we have a nice feature here, which is the 2 socket for USB charging. One is 1.5 amp, one is 2.1 amps. 1.5 is for phone, 2.1 is for tablets and iPad and stuff like that. So yeah, this is a nice little feature. It also has a USB slot for sharing the media with the head unit. There's also an iPhone jack, and of course there's a 12 volt 15 amp outlet where the cigarette lighter is. So you can also plug in whatever you want there, inverters, USB converters, anything you want there. So there are many ways to utilize the power in the car and to connect to the entertainment system. Rear seats, some people say that the packaging of the iriz may not be as good as the competitor, but the fact is the rear seats I can sit behind myself and still feel comfortable. So there's no real question about space. The boot space is decent. We recently tried this car taking it grocery shopping for a month. I usually get groceries for a whole month, and the boot swallowed up most of it, with the bigger items having to go onto the rear seat. No real complaints there. In terms of material quality, the iriz is an improvement over previous Protons. There's some nice looking plastics, good textures that they've chosen to make it look very plush, very exclusive. Kudos to the Proton designers for choosing the correct, or rather the right kind of textures to make the car feel expensive and feel like they have thought it through carefully. Under the bonnet is a 1.6 litre VVT engine. It's a new engine from Proton. The VVT operates on the intake valve to help give it good torque at the low end and good breathing for power at the top end. The 1.6 VVT engine is quite happy to be revved hard. The exhaust and the engine noise I think it's been tuned to make it sound a little sporty. But there is a bit of slightly higher than usual noise intrusion into the cabin, which is I think the fault of the CVT transmission and the clutch system CVT transmission from Punch, because you don't get the same level of noise from the manual transmission cars. So this is a little sad for Proton, because as you know, the CVT version is the one that people who want more refinement buy, so they get a bit more noise when they shouldn't. The manual is for people who want to have fun, and that is quite so yeah, a bit odd. So you'll probably see a lot of that comments in the other reviews as well.